This is for the woman who's in her 30s and 40s who feels tired, depleted, heavier than she normally feels, and like something in her body has shifted. So what I want to do is I want to offer a different way of looking at that. So when it comes to health and fitness, I keep coming back to this. The simplest solutions are often the most powerful. So right now, the online space is saturated with conversations aimed at women in their later 30s and all throughout their 40s who are told that every change in your body, mood, energy, weight, sleep and desire must be explained through a new label, a new protocol, a supplement plan or a medical pathway. And while I understand that some women are looking for answers, I also believe something important is being missed. So what if women aren't broken? What if they are simply depleted? What if the body is not suddenly betraying you, but finally showing you the effects of years of being ignored? So many women spend years giving, producing, mothering, working, managing, carrying, and holding everything together. So you're overriding hunger and tiredness and your need for strength, sunlight, stillness, pleasure, beauty, and even nourishment. And then what happens is you stop living in relationship with your feminine energy. And by feminine energy, I don't mean performing your femininity. I don't mean being delicate, passive, or decorative. I mean the part of a woman that knows how to receive. The part that moves with rhythm rather than force, and the part of the woman that understands nourishment, intuition, softness, sensuality, rest, and embodiment. When women lose access to that, they often start running on control alone. This can show up as control over food, control over exercise, control over the body, control over the home, control over relationships, control over your emotions, and control over how much you're allowed to need. So eventually, the body speaks. So for me personally, motherhood changed the rhythm of everything. So before children, I exercised regularly, I ate well, I had time to invest in my own well-being. However, after children, I kept some of those habits that I had started during pregnancy, continuing to overeat at times, snacking throughout the day, and I moved less intentionally. So I still did basic exercise, but I wasn't really deeply present with my body. I did notice how much of my well-being was slipping, and for a while I tried to fix myself through extremes and tried to control everything through plans, problem-solving, discipline, and control, more control. So sometimes it looked like progress, but underneath it I felt like I was managing a problem rather than living in a way that truly supported me anymore. So things only started to shift when I stopped seeing my body as a problem to solve. I stopped trying to control everything and I just started observing everybody around me. And that's when I started to see things very differently. Especially my body. Like, it's not a project, it's not a problem, and it's not something that needs to be punished through more restriction. What I started seeing it as, it's like a battery. It's something that needs recharging, and something that needs recharging on a daily basis. So that became my focus. You know, you recharge with sunlight, strength training, simple nourishing meals, food without ideology, rest, presence, a nourished mind, spirit, and a return to the feminine energy. So I stopped asking, how do I fix myself, and started thinking about what would recharge me today. And that question is what changed everything. So the symptoms I had been told to expect simply have not become my reality. I feel good after eating, I have more energy, my body is changing slowly, and more importantly, I don't see myself as a woman in decline, but simply as a woman. So there's no power in seeing yourself as deteriorating and dependent on external intervention just to function. But there is power in learning how to return energy to your own life. And the body is always communicating how to do that. And sometimes what we call a crisis is actually just our body asking us to come back to it. Back to nourishment, strength, rhythm, sunlight, simplicity, our feminine energy, and to ourselves. Because when you begin living from that baseline again, Health stops being about survival and control. It becomes about having enough energy to feel alive again. If you are a woman who would like to step out of absorbing other people's versions of life and begin directing your own, and you feel you could benefit from an orientation session with myself, Vanessa, then please visit my website, www.vanessaleblanc.com.